Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you are new. I am the stepson of Krypton,
And I'm Mantis.
and today we are coming to you with a video in regards to some remarks made by James Gunn about his approach to the DC characters and how it is not going to please everybody. Now, there's a lot to get into with this. I see Mantis has already got the wheels spinning when we're saying that there. So, Mantis, are you ready and excited to get into this?
See.
Okay, well, then that'll do it for me. All right, let's go ahead and get on into the discussion. All right, guys. So, James Gunn had recently done some interviews where he had announced that not everybody is going to like his take on some of the DC characters. And, we have done several videos on this in the past as far as comic book accuracy as we were kind of leading up to the Superman movie. How accurate are these characters going to be? How accurate is it going to be in the other movies and TV shows? And when we talk about and him saying that his take on the characters isn't going to please everybody, it brings up a lot of interesting points because there's for especially let's take Superman right now. There's a very very large span of time in the comics, and things obviously change and they get retconned. Mantis, what are your initial thoughts on him saying that?
I agree with his point. Um because again, we went through this even just like in another video we did. Like just look at Superman as an example in the movies. Like you like Christopher Reeve. I like Henry Cavill. Like or I said our favorite ones. Like we like all of them, right? Like that's not the point.
Yeah,
It's like which one do you want to see the most or your favorite? Let's just put it that way. I mean, this is just personal preference. And he's right. You're not going to please everyone. I mean, the we were talking about this yesterday on a off air, I guess you could say. And uh, one of what unfortunately what it really comes down to is what sells the most. That is unfortunately the thing that at least when it comes to movies, um, you know, what is going to sell the most tickets,
You don't sell any fucking tickets!
what's going to get the most eyes so they can sell ads, all of this nonsense. That's really where James Gunn has to play in. He has a little bit of creativity that he can throw in there, but also he has to play to what the audience wants, right? Um, that's just a matter of fact, and there's no way to get around it. That's show business, right? So I agree with his point. He's not going to make everyone happy. There's people that like old Superman. There's people that like new Superman. There's people that love Absolute. I was talking to you. It's like I was reading the Absolute Superman. I think the artwork in that is awesome. It's better than any of the other Absolute series. But maybe the story's not as good as another version of Superman.
FYI,
Um,
quick shameful plug. Absolute at the time of recording, Absolute Superman 13 just released yesterday on the channel. The day it actually came out in comic book stores, so go check that out. Sorry.
yes. So yeah, no, it's perfectly legitimate because I mean we have this discussion all the time. It's like which my favorite character is Batman, right? Like so like what version of Batman? I mean, I know there's a lot of older people that love Adam West's Batman. It's kind of corny for the time it was on TV, but like I've tried to watch a couple of those. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Cesar Romero does awesome as Joker in that. I appreciate it, but it's not. I like the more fast paced. I like up to date tech. I like all the gadgety stuff. But there's also like that little part of me that loves like the old the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batman, the bat suit he couldn't turn his damn head in, right? There's there's all of these different aspects that I think it's all warranted. But I think for me, like in a nutshell, what it comes down to is I don't really particularly care in the general scheme of things as long as the character and the story are good. I think that's just the most important part about it. If the character is good and the story is good, I think that goes a long way. And okay, he's like Christian Bale, or okay, he's like Ben Affleck, or he's like Robert Pattinson. Like, as long as the story's good, the aesthetics are good, and it's entertaining, I'm cool with all of
So I think it's interesting because there was a I don't know if you guys ever watched the Hot Ones where they're eating the hot wings, and they ask really good questions during those interviews. But one question that the guy asked Ryan Reynolds, because it was Ryan and Hugh on there promoting Deadpool and Wolverine, is
it.
he said, that Ryan had made a quote about that sometimes, when there's too much money and too much time, things go bad, right? And he says, like when you put too much time and money into it, and you're worried about effects, sometimes you lose character.
And yeah, when you focus on spectacle as opposed to character, audiences I think are a little inured to spectacle. I feel like the CGI effects and those kinds of things aren't what actually sustain an audience after a movie comes out.
Right, the character is not there. And I think in recent times with a lot of superhero movies, we've been seeing that. Right, we're trying to see these ups on production budgets and special effects, but we're not getting what people want in character, because at its core, you may like the golden age of Superman, you may like the silver age, the bronze age, the modern age, whatever, but at its core, Superman is Superman, right? His core never changes too much. He's just this person that's on the planet trying to do good. And if you don't have that character, then, and especially with all of his, the other members of the Justice League, Lois Lane and all of that, then it doesn't matter how great the special effects are. And I think for like me with Superman 2025, that's what I loved about it, is that we got to see and to me it felt like a comic book movie and his character, and it went back to that wholesome, really lighthearted type of Superman versus where, with Henry Cavill's and in Man of Steel, everything was just so much darker. Again, I still love it, right? It was, it's a different take on the character. I'm here for it, but they they still established him and his character in that movie as well too. In Man of Steel, it was just on a different side, but I think the character was well established. Versus, oh, we just got to make it super effects driven and not give a shit, because say what you will, both those movies, I know there's arguments, but they're both in the $600 million. Fuck, sorry, they're both in that $600 million range. They earned pretty equally as far as dollar amounts. I mean, at that point, you're kind of splitting hairs, and by hairs, I mean millions. But
Mhm.
they're pretty same level as far as I think how people responded to Man of Steel versus Superman 2025. It's just going to come down to what people now want to see, right? Do they want to see a more comic book accurate? And I say comic book closer to like the Silver Age and Golden Age. I'm probably more towards Silver Age. Or are they going to want to see a more modern Superman? And they want to see more modern characters, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 2 points there. One, to go off of kind of from our other videos, like, you know me, and I know you're in the same realm. Like, if there's a way to do this stuff is with practical effects, do it. I think that's one drawback that I really kind of, and I don't know how you do it. James Gunn loves using special effects on everything. I just, I love practical effects. If you can do it that way, do it. I think it looks better. The actors are more genuine when they do that. I feel like they perform better when they do that. But also to your point, like you can change all of these things with like Superman. The core of him's still there. The outer lying things like, oh, his suit looks like this, but it's not the same as that. Like that's trivial. Like to some people that means a whole lot, but like in the grand scheme of things of the character, you know, unless you're talking about like in the comics, like with Soul, like that's a major plot twist there. Like it's a whole different arc of his suit, you know. But like in the grand scheme of things, like the way what his suit looks like doesn't change the character of Superman. It's or if he's from if he lives in a ranch style house, or if it's a more barn house type of house in Kansas. Like these are just trivial things that they don't really make a difference in my opinion.
Now, it's interesting you say that, because actually in this article, it it's a I should say, in a different James Gunn article that he just released, and I'll have it up there. He does say that he wants to try to do more practical effects. Now, obviously, Superman's a difficult one to do that in, right? So most of Superman's going to have to be CG just because he flies and he has all these powers. But where he can put in practical effects, he wants to, because Mantis and I growing up in the 80s and early 90s where we experienced a lot of our movies and such, everything had to be practical for the most part. And it just, I don't know, to me, that's what kind of draws me in is like, wow, this looks like real. And because it had to be, or when they did miniatures like for the Star Wars and things like that, it added that
Mhm,
extra level of immersion into when you add that with good character, everything. That's what really draws you in. So I
mhm,
think for him saying that, people aren't, not everybody's going to be happy. The big problem, and we've seen it on this channel, is I have my Superman. Mantis has his Superman. Other people have their Superman. Is which one do you choose to, what road do you go down, right? Because again, you're not gonna
mhm,
make everybody happy. We had that when we did the Superman the super suit video talking about the origins of the super suit, right? That's
mhm.
changed throughout the comics. And for I think a lot of younger people who grow up with a more modernized Superman, like the person who commented on that video was like, oh, you're talking about comics from 40, 50 years ago. Well, yeah, that's what I grew up with, right? Doesn't I'm not
Yeah,
wrong, doesn't mean, you're wrong. Everybody can like their own thing. I just I
yeah.
feel like as long as
It's
he's
recency
sticking
bias.
to it is recency bias, and you said that the other day, and I thought that was the perfect, kinda, you know, sum up all of this is recency bias, but as long as he's sticking to the character, regardless of what point and spot and time there are in the comics, I'm good with it because I love the Superman character. Like I said, I love the Man of Steel take on the character. I love the obviously Christopher Reeve take on it. I even love the Dean Kane take on the character. Like it all still held the essence of Superman to me, and that's what's important. Is the essence that that's Superman, that you're not trying to change the core of Superman.
Yeah, and again, this is why I keep going back to say, like, he's not wrong when he says it's literally up to the viewer whether they like that version or not, whether they've even seen that version, or maybe they haven't seen any of it, and this is their first exposure to the character. You kind of have to take all of that into account. But what really comes from this is the writer, or in this case, James Gunn, the writer director, has to choose which one he's going to go with. Like that's the end all be all. He can't really think about what he's gonna do to make this person happy, make them happy. First off, you have to say, what do I want to do? Right? This is what I want to make it. This is my vision. This is what I think of it whenever or when I think of Superman or any of the characters in this universe. That's what I want to make. That's the way I see them. That could be drawn from inspiration from other people. It could be drawn from his childhood that he read these comics when he's growing up. It could be hopefully not the modern environment. And the reason I say that is because the last 20 years of writing on some of this stuff has just been complete dog shit. So it's like hopefully they don't go they're out with the writing on that sense, but like, the character development, um you have to draw that from somewhere as you're writing and directing and making these movies, and you're not going to please everyone. And that's just the reality of performative art. You're just not. It's very subjective. It's that it's
Well,
just going to happen.
the problem is we're in an age now. You want to talk about the comic book ages? Let's talk about the humanity age, right? We're in an age now where people are just so unforgiving. They are so unwilling to go against and or to experience anything that is not what they want, right? It's like, and I'm not trying to bash on them, but the diehard Snyderverse fans right now that are pushing so hard against James Gunn's Superman, they don't want to even give it a chance. They just hate it,
Mm,
and it's like a lot you see. We're not going to go political or anything like that, but it's like a lot you see in those types of movements where it's like you're not even willing to hear the other side. It's not what I want. I hate it, right? Whereas
mm.
when I grew up and we had the different comic books and the different Supermans and the different iterations, that wasn't a thing. You're like, oh shit, this is a new Superman. Let me read this. Hey, that's actually kind of cool. People just
Mhm.
nowadays, society as a whole, we're more in a position of a lot of people. I won't say everybody, and I'm not going to speak for anybody that watches our channel, but just say, when you're, and I try to not, but when you go through social media, it's all of this. Nope, that's not, I don't like that. It's new. I'm not even giving it a chance. Just hate, hate. I want this. If I can't get this, I'm going to be miserable and I'm not going to give anything else a chance.
Yeah, there's a word for it, and I can't think of what it is, but it's people that just go against the grain just because. Just because if you say the sky's blue, they're gonna say it's pink. It doesn't even matter if they're right or wrong.
We used
They're
to call those hipsters, right? Like that wasn't that when they like it was hipsters were always going against the grain.
Look at him, he's like a hipster, right?
No, I'm not a hipster at all.
Yeah. You do seem to hate a lot of things, and the bottom of your pants are awful tight.
No,
Like I don't
I
know if
mean,
that's still a thing, you know.
I don't.
But
Yeah, I don't know. But that's what it feels like to me with a lot of it's just like you're being. Is it contrarian? I think that's maybe what it is. I'm not sure. Look, guys. I didn't do well in school. I went to public school. Okay, don't get on me about it. But like, people just decide to go. Oh, I'm just going to argue with you just for the sake of arguing. Even though I may even agree with you, I'm still going to go take the opposite side just because. Like, I feel like that's a lot what this is. I mean, and we said this the last video or two videos, like if we can get both James Gunn Superman and Zack Snyder Superman in going at the same time, I'm fine with it, man. Like I'd be fine with it. Let's do it. I like all of it. I just don't get I don't understand why people it has to be one or the other. I don't understand that. I really don't.
well, the problem is again, and you had said it in the beginning, is you're appealing to the masses, right? It's what are the masses gonna like? Because if you don't have the support, obviously, to my surprise, I look at Superman as the greatest comic book character ever, and he's my favorite. But like Mantis likes Batman, right? So I'm going to support Superman no matter what, but there isn't as much. Like there are other characters. A lot of people think he's boring and he's lame, so they gravitate towards other characters, right? Whether it be heroes or villains. But let's just stick with heroes for the time being, right? So you need to appeal more to the masses because if you just went to diehard Superman fans, you are in such a limited pool nowadays because people are like, oh God, we know his origins, we know Superman, he's lame, he's kind of boring. And you got to appeal to masses. Well, masses aren't going to want to see multiple Supermen running at the same time. They can't handle that, right? The non-Superman, non-comic book fans can't handle that, right? That's they don't like two things running concurrently. It screws them up because they already don't.
Oh.
I mean, there's still people who don't know Superman's origin out there. I'm like, how he's been around since 1938. How do you not know his fucking origins?
Well,
But they're out there.
I mean,
They
it is
exist.
people only have attention spans for so long. This is why there's not two concurrent like American football leagues going at the same time. You have the NFL, and that's it. Because if you tried to do two at the same time, one of them is going to do, which the NFL would smoke the other league, and no one would watch it. That's what would end up happening, right? So
Yeah, and it's why with the comic books, or with the comic book movies, it's like you got to have the one story, and and you're even kind of seeing that now. Is why if you look at even at the MCU and the DCU is doing the same thing, they're trying to bridge everything back to one timeline, right? Because the multiverse timelines and shit gets way too confusing. It gives you too many easy outs. You know how Mantis feels about those, right?
don't get
That
me
no
started.
character can stay dead. So they're trying to bring everything kind of back into something that's easily digestible to the average person, and that's going to come from, like I said, I'm okay to see a different version of Green Lantern, or different in whether you want to do the Alan Scott, you want to do like the Hal Jordan's era. Obviously we've got Guy Gardner right now. I'm good with those, right? And the different characters, but it's what's going to be appealing to, as you said, the masses. What's going to sell the tickets, man? I can't support the Superman franchise and James Gunn's DCU on my own, right? I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, Cadmus Media Groups. We need more capital. Send us your capital. Just kidding. That's a joke. We don't do that. We haven't set up our Patreon yet, so.
So, all right, guys. Like, I don't want this to drag on too long here. We thought we'd kind of address it because there are the characters getting ready to come out in the DCU that I'm excited for. That, like with Clayface, they're getting ready to supposedly kind of retcon his origins is going to be different than what we've seen in the comics before, and there are going to be people that are unhappy about it. I'm here for. I just want to see the damn characters on the screen at this point.
I can't wait. I'm a horror fan. Yeah, I'm a horror fan, so like that movie, I can't wait. I cannot wait to watch that movie.
And just like with Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow coming out next year, and with Jason Momoa being Lobo. I'm excited to see him play Lobo. I don't know how they're gonna play him. I'm hoping it's gonna be pretty close to the regular guy. But again, there's been a few different kind of variations of Lobo throughout, and he does
Yeah.
mention Brainiac in this article, the original
Mhm.
article that spawned us, reason why we wanted to do this video. I thought that was kind of interesting. Now, he did say don't read too much into it, but he does mention Brainiac in there because we know there's been different variations of Brainiac throughout the
Mhm.
course of the comics, right? And you can't just
Mhm.
kind of get hung up on one. Just I would say this as kind of the final thoughts, even though we don't really do that anymore on the channel, to the viewers of this channel is it's like, look, it may not be your version that you grew up with and you're familiar with and that your absolute love, but as long as the character's on screen and it's written well, we got to give it a chance, man, right? And we asked the same
Mhm.
thing when the Superman movie was getting ready to release. Just give it a chance at least. If the writing
Yeah.
sucks, we'll be the first to be right there with you, especially with a character like Brainiac, right there with you to say, dude, he fucked this up. But
Yep.
give it a
Yeah.
chance. I mean, you don't
Yep.
have to. If you're fucking free country, do what you want. But I mean, I'd like to hope if you're comic book fans, you'd give it a chance.
I agree.
All right, guys. That is going to do it for us on this episode of You, Me, and DC. If you have made it with us this far, consider giving the video a like, subscribing first and foremost. Sorry, almost jumping ahead of here because I wanted to get to the bell notifications because I know as annoying as that is to be like a third thing you have to do, but not only will you get notified on all the videos we're doing, keeping up with all the James Gunn rumors coming out, but everything we are doing in the comic book world. The KO event is happening right now with Darkseid. It is awesome. Mantis has just released, or it will be by the time this video comes out. Night Fight, the first battle in the KO event, as well
Mhm.
as the Absolute Batman Annual, because we are a year out. That is crazy to think about. We have been with the Absolute Universe for a year in the comic books now.
Mhm.
He's
And
got
it's
that
been
video
awesome.
out. It has been awesome. Go check those videos out as well, too, if you're fans of comic books. We try to keep those as short and as concise as humanly possible. So,
They're a nice
man,
little playlist too for you.
it is a nice little playlist. You can just watch them all, like go
Just
through
watch
the
them
whole
all.
thing,
Yeah.
read
Put them
along
on.
with us.
What I do, yeah, what I do is I put it on. I know you guys, you've got YouTube Premium because you don't want to watch the ads. We're all suckers paying for that.
Hey,
Remember, like 10 years ago, we didn't have to pay for ads. Just remember that.
to be fair, we are a small enough channel right now that you should not be seeing ads on any of our videos.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't, but YouTube. But just put on the playlist for Superman or Batman or whatever, and then go do house chores. Just keep it on your headphones, let it on your computer, watch it on your phone, put it in your pocket while you're doing laundry or whatever. Just listen to the comics all the way
Yes,
through. It's
just
awesome.
put us in your pants, okay?
Yeah.
And just let us be there in your pants, all right? And
Yeah.
just listen. All right, guys,
You
that is
feel a little vibration. That's us saying thanks, for liking, subscribing.
good. Try to add a little vibrate button in there. All right, guys, before this goes off the rails, that is going to wrap it for us on this episode of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Later.